A stunning reversal by prosecutors in Chicago. The Cook County State's Attorney Office is dropping all charges against Empire actor Jussie Smollett. He was charged with disorderly conduct, accused of staging a phony attack, and claiming that he was a victim of a hate crime. Smollett was in court for an emergency hearing today, and it's unclear why the charges were dropped. For some insight on this confusing case, let's join criminal defense attorney Tamara A in Chicago. Tamara, thanks for joining us. So from the start, this has stunned people following this case across the country, stemming from claims that this was, again, a targeted hate crime, and then the alleged victim was believed by police to have staged this attack himself. So what do you think about the charges against Smollett being dropped today?
I appreciate the opportunity to speak on these charges. There's definitely been a lot of activity here in Chicago surrounding this case. It's hard to say exactly what led prosecutors to drop the case. I am a former prosecutor myself, having worked in a prosecutor's office here in Illinois. And I can tell you that from what I've read and what I've observed, it appears that the prosecutors felt the case just wasn't as strong as initially thought, given the change in testimony about the check and some other key pieces of evidence with the case.
Smollett's spokesperson said that his record would be fully expunged, and we have yet to get more details on how this decision was made. So what do you think are some factors that could have brought on this conclusion, given your experience?
I would say definitely one of the factors being that the witnesses even stated that the check for $3,500 was actually for training and some meal plans or something to that effect. Another thing that I've held this opinion from the very beginning, I've been very vocal about it. I believe that the police commissioner made a huge error in going on national television, polluting the jury pool, talking about this case as if it had been fully investigated and disposed of, when in fact it was a brand new case. In fact, charges weren't even filed yet when Superintendent Eddie Johnson was all over the news, giving his opinion pretty much. And I find that to be very unprofessional, very uncharacteristic, and something that definitely damaged the case.
Cook County State's Attorney also said that they believe the outcome is an appropriate resolution after reviewing all the facts of the case, including Smollett's community service and agreement to forfeit his bond to the city of Chicago. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, prosecutors have a great deal of discretion, and I feel that obviously she took into account the fact that Mr. Smollett has no criminal history. However, I would say this. Whatever led her to the decision, I think that it would be very helpful for especially members of the LGBTQIA community to have the records unsealed, to know exactly what happened, because this has a huge impact on victims, crime victims, hate crime victims. There are all sorts of scenarios where, especially where you have the police and the mayor ringing in with such loud voices, these are very important issues that need to be resolved and need to be known about publicly.
Anything else that you could clear up for us about this case?
You know, information is still coming in, so I don't want to, it's somewhat of a speculative nature right now. I will say that I believe that 16 charges in this case was a bit much. I feel that given his lack of criminal history and what actually occurred, that justice was carried out. Obviously, the players and the prosecutor's office know far more than we do, but I believe some serious errors were made by the police by trying this thing in the court of public opinion. There's always a danger when you do that in actually carrying out a miscarriage of justice. It's very important that people remain objective, and I think that that's the main takeaway from this case.
Thank you so much, criminal defense attorney Tamara A from Chicago, for joining us.
Thank you.
After the hearing, Smollett read a prepared statement saying that he was, quote, truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. You're watching Chron On, streaming news for a local audience.